Hello Animals fans, and welcome back to the Animals universe. And above all else, Merry bloody Christmas. We're doing an AniLysis today, and I decided to be specific in what I wanted for what is episode 100. It's well timed because it's the last AniLysis before Christmas. And so what better way to celebrate the holiday season than to go over every time Christmas is mentioned in the Animal series. We're going to get every single quote of Christmas being involved, and we're going to discuss how Christmas is involved in the Animal series. So let's get started, shall we? After I was first trapped in my hawk body, Jake had removed an outside panel that led into the attic of his house. I flew in through the opening. It was a typical attic. There was some dusty old cardboard boxes full of Jake and Tom's old baby clothes. There were open boxes of Christmas lights and decorations. There was a chest of drawers with a top that had been scarred by something or other. We first encounter Christmas. In book 3, the encounter, and it's when Tobias starts to live temporarily in Jake's attic, and he notices a box of Christmas decorations. Now this is interesting, and it's something we'll touch on a fair bit during this video, I reckon. But Jake's family are Jewish. I'm pretty certain that maybe they're not practicing Jews, but they are Jewish. I'm pretty certain. So why they have Christmas decorations is an interesting topic to get into. Now I think it's partly because of the lack of practicing Jewishness, which means that they probably just get sucked up into the spirit of the season. Maybe not so much the whole the religious side of the season, you know, the whole Jesus stuff. Maybe they're more about the Santa hats and the warm fireplace with the stockings. Don't you like my fire, by the way? The best fire you've ever seen. But why am I doing a Trump impression for that? But yeah, the Jew family, Jake, celebrate Christmas. Strange. But we will move on now, and the next time we mention Christmas is another time where we see that another one of the main families celebrates Christmas, and it comes in book 5, The Predator. Was it a Yerk handing out the presents on Christmas morning? A Yerk singing in the church choir? A Yerk pulling the puppet strings on my mother's body when she dragged me through JCPenney's and made me buy school clothes I didn't really like? Now this is fun because this is Marco clearly stating that his family celebrates Christmas, but we also get a snippet there of his mother Eva singing in the church choir, which means that unlike Jake's family, maybe they are practicing Christians, so maybe they celebrate the more religious aspect of the holidays. So what's next? Well, we don't get Christmas for a little while longer, and then it turns up in, or is mentioned sort of, in book 11, The Forgotten. It was overwhelming. For a long time, none of us said anything. We were discovering a world we had never even guessed at. It was as if Polo and his people had been transported to a shopping mall at Christmas time. They would have been amazed and stunned at all the things man creates. Now, the reverse was happening. This was the world the Jaguar knew. And it was not the world that Polo and his people knew. Their shopping mall at Christmas time, filled, not with all the things that man makes, but with all the wild, amazing, insane, extreme, shocking creativity of nature. Here we learn that the Animorphs, or at least Jake, experience Christmas time in malls as being this big glorious thing, and he's comparing it to how he sees the Amazon in his new morph and how Polo would see... You read the bloody quote along with me, didn't you? You know what I'm talking about. But effectively we know that, or we speculate that the mall in the Animals Town probably gets really nicely decorated up for Christmas, and it's a whoa, that Hillary Clinton clip of oh, everyone just looking around like that. That's twice now I've mentioned, like, not quite so much presidential in Hillary Clinton's terms, but you know what I'm saying about that. You don't know what I'm saying about anything, do you? Or do you? If you do, well done. If you're not, keep up. Right, and keep up because we're moving forward to book 14 now. He brought the truck up to a souvenir stand topped by a gigantic billboard that read, "Last Chance Souvenirs." The billboard was bigger than the actual store. The store was closed and looked like it had been for years. Behind the store was a trailer. It was an Airstream. You know, one of those silver bullet-shaped trailers. There was an awning out front trimmed in bright Christmas lights, even though it was nowhere near Christmas. Crazy Helen never takes down her Christmas lights. Now that's a sin in the eyes of Santa Claus. You've got to take your Christmas lights down by the latest the 9th of January. That's the latest. Anytime after that and you've crossed the line. Yeah, there's not really much else to learn from that one. So the next time we get a Christmas mention is basically double the length of what we've covered so far. We're going all the way up to book 31 now. And this is where we eventually get a flashback to World War I with the trenches. Christmas, when they were all homesick in their foxholes, they sang Silent Night. The enemy sang it too, in German. Far off they heard it. Both sides lonely for their homes. Both sides wishing the war was over. Uh-huh. Don't you remember how he told us all this, Tom? I pressed, wanting him to admit he remembered. Wanting, ridiculously, the real Tom inside to push hard enough to break through, just for a minute, and be my totally human brother again. It's shortly after Jake reminisces over this Christmas in the foxholes. But he's doing it because he's trying to sort of, as he says himself, in a ridiculous, ambitious way, try to get Tom to respond in some way as himself rather than this yerk in disguise. Give him a motivational story. And then Jake has this vision, this dream of characters in this foxhole that he describes. Christmas Eve. Merry Christmas. I heard a racking cough from the next foxhole. Matthews. He was from Arkansas, Alabama, one of those places. A southern boy. A kid, one of the last replacements to make it to our unit. Hey kid, I said in a hoarse whisper. Goose or ham? What? He gasped between coughs. Back home, what does your mum cook for Christmas dinner? Goose or ham? For a while there he didn't answer. Then, ham. Yeah? We always have a goose. My mother cooks up a goose. From a second foxhole to my right, a voice said, Don't listen to him, kid. Sarge ain't got no mother. I think the kid laughed. Hard to tell with the coughing. Pneumonia, most likely. He should be evacuated. But no one was being evacuated. The joke was that even getting yourself killed only got you a 3-day pass, and then it was back to the line. Sarge? He called when the coughing subsided. Sarge? Yeah? You write the letter, okay? I know it's the captain's job, but he don't know me. You write the letter. There was only one letter. The one that would inform Private Matthews' family that he was among the honoured dead. I said something rude and obscene. Couldn't have him thinking that way. You start thinking you'll die, maybe you do. Tell my mum I did okay, he said. Tell her yourself. I'm not the US mail, I said. You tell her when you get home. Merry Christmas, a bitter voice on my right said. For a while no one spoke. We listened for the incoming shells. We listened for the tanks. We waited for the crack of a sniper's rifle and the cry of a man dying. But then the thin, biting air was filled with the sound of voices, ragged at first, and then soaring into a harmony that sweetened the night, bringing me home to my family, filling my empty, aching belly and soothing my torn, battered heart. Silent night. Holy night, Private Matthews whispered, smiling. I think I hear the Germans singing too, I said. Yerks don't sing, Matthews said. Suddenly he was beside me. His eyes opened, bared his teeth, and rammed the Nazi dagger straight into my heart. What's great about this quote is it's a true story, and I'm sure you've probably already heard of it. It's a very famous thing that happened during that war, where they gathered together, singing Silent Night, and then they played a game of football, because it's the greatest sport that was ever made. And right now, as I'm saying this, Blackburn have just won their 6th game on the bounce. That's why it's the greatest game in the world. Just you wait till they lose a game, then suddenly it'll be the worst game in the world. But for now, it most certainly is the greatest sport ever conjured by man. Certainly better than all that crap you Americans made. I've already done this skit before, haven't I? Criticising American sports. But you know what? It's Christmas. I'm treating myself. So shut up and accept it. My God. Especially you, Medi. Merry Christmas, Medi. You bastard. Anyway, zoom forward from the unfortunate ending of that dream where he got stabbed by the Nazi dagger. Let's move forward to the next mention of Christmas, and it comes all the way in book 40. According to Axe, Tobias explained, gardening is a very cool hobby for Andalites. It's an art, really. Great. I'll be sure to buy him a John Deere riding mower for Christmas. Any sign of Myrtle? Marco jokes about buying a lawnmower, a ride-along lawnmower for Gryffindor for Christmas. Not that Gryffindor probably celebrates Christmas. I will go that far, you know. He's an Andalite. I'll give it a 5% chance he celebrates Christmas. But, yeah, it's not really relevant. And then the next time and last time we have a mention of Christmas actually comes in the greatest book of the series, book 47, The Resistance. And it happens during the Civil War stuff. So very similar in a way to how we had the memory of and the dream of the Silent Night in the Trenches, a Christmas Day thing that happened during the war. This book has a part where there's a Christmas thing going on. Whether it was inspired by the true story that was mentioned before or not, it probably was, but I can't say for certain. But anyway, let's have a look at the quotes for this. At sundown, Sergeant Rains and 2 other soldiers walked me down the main street of Sinclair's Ridge. Sally Miller and her husband Joe were hosting a Christmas party. They'd been kind enough to invite us and we were happy to oblige. We stopped before a white clapboard house with candles flickering warmly in the windows. Fiddle music filtered through the walls and under the door. I climbed the stairs and let the knocker fall. Scents of cinnamon and vanilla rushed out as the door opened. Sally greeted us warmly. Lieutenant! Hello, Rains. Welcome. Sally was resplendent with golden hair bouncing in ringlets and a red-trimmed dress to match her lips. She stepped back to let us enter and nodded as we passed. We were drawn in by the sound of music and voices. Rains hastened to the banjo case that stood in the corner, threw it open, and pulled out the instrument like a child opening a gift on Christmas morning. Private Tweed raised a tambourine. Corporal Fox unsheathed a pair of bones from his jacket pocket. No words were exchanged. They simply joined the town fiddler, then started in on a new song, the words of which I'd heard before. I hear the bugle sound the calls for reveille and drill, for water, stable and tattoo, for taps, and all was still. I hear it call the sick cold grim, and seethe men in line, with faces wry as they drink down their whiskey and quinine. The stress of the impending attack seemed to melt away. The townspeople present clapped and tapped their feet in time. The young tin whistler and drummer boy, the 2 I'd seen out my drafty window, watched from beside the roaring fire. Good evening, Lieutenant, Joe Miller said. Merry Christmas. So it's on Christmas Eve that Isaiah Fitzhenry has this celebration in Joe Miller's house. And they eventually have a big old discussion about, you know, the Civil War and the black people, the ex-slaves that are there and whether they should fight. And that's a big theme of book 47. I'm not going to cover it here. Brilliant book. Quite a complex storyline, so I'm not going to cover it in this Christmas episode. But that's where that all happens. And then Christmas Day arrives. And that is the day that Isaiah Fitzhenry meets his end. Christmas morning. A shrill bugle call startled me from sleep. There was a pounding on the door of headquarters where I slept, fully dressed in the corner. I jumped to my feet, grabbed my long gun and revolver, and opened the door. They're here, Rains said, eyes wide, face calm. That is the last mention of Christmas in the Animal series, and it is the day that Isaiah Fitzhenry perishes on the battlefield during the American Civil War. Quite touching, really. Fantastic book. Again, reminiscent of the trenches in World War I, where it's the Christmas Day thing and the Silent Night, Holy Night. I do think there was an inspiration there for 47 after 31. And of course, the true story of that happening. But anyway, let's get back to the joyous stuff, shall we? So, What can we say about the Animorphs and Christmas? Well, it seems that Jake sort of celebrates Christmas. I'm pretty sure his family are all Jewish, so they must not be practicing Jews and they must just enjoy the Christmas festivities. Whereas Marco, I reckon, his family are probably practicing Christians, at least to some degree, whereby they will celebrate Christmas as what Christmas is meant to be. We don't know about Cassie, Rachel, or Tobias. Tobias obviously probably doesn't celebrate it anymore. He probably never really celebrated it to begin with. Rachel is probably like Jake. I can't imagine she'd be much different. Probably celebrates Christmas a little bit, you know, the festivity side. Cassie, don't know. I'd err on the side of yes. I don't know. Chap working on a farm in America, I just associate that with probably strongly Christian values. And they come across like that as well, just the way they act. So I'm going to say yes, probably for Cassie. The thing is about Christmas, there's never a part in the Animorphs book series where it says, it's Christmas now. We never get told that. So whether what mission is probably the most Christmassy out of the lot? That's a bloody good question. I don't know, I reckon the early 30s is probably quite Christmassy. I don't know. Somewhere between the experiment and the conspiracy are probably, I don't know. There's never a part in the series where they were saying, oh, it's cold out. But then again, they're in fictional California, which, I don't know, does the temperature ever drop below 40 degrees? Celsius, by the way. Yeah, you go to Google and calculate the difference. Yeah, you go do that. I'm not going to tell you what the Fahrenheit for that is. You got to work it out for yourself. And that's my Christmas gift to you. Ho ho ho! Maths. It's not a very Christmassy series, is it, Animorphs? Is it? It really isn't. I mean, look at Harry Potter, for example. There's always one point in the books and the movies where it's Christmas. And you get the big there's snow everywhere and they're all... Catch the Christmas snitch, Harry. The snitch? The little golden one? I think so. Oh, Dumbledore's got a new Christmas tree this year, Harry. I don't know, something like that. Harry Potter's much more Christmassy than Animorphs. And it's a shame we never really got a sort of Christmassy book. That would have been good, wouldn't it? One of the Megamorphs. Sorry. One of the Megamorphs should have been a Christmas special. There, I said it. And it should have been... They end up going to... In fact, the North Pole. Yeah, they did go to... No, they went to... Yeah, they went to North Pole. Or in that region. Greenland, probably. Or Northern Canada. So yeah, book 25 is probably the most Christmassy. That's only because they were in a cold, bloody place. You know, they needed a book where they went on a Christmas adventure. Like the Yerks were... Visser 3 sees the Grinch on TV and decides, you know what? He's got a bloody good idea there. I'm going to steal Christmas. Or he's going to make it so that there's like the TV series did, where they put Yerks in phones. So he thinks, Christmas, everyone gets presents, right? So we're going to pretend to be Santa Claus. So we're going to disguise our blade ship as a sleigh. And we're going to drop presents down people's chimneys, but it's a Yerk. It's like something like you put your ear to and then the Yerk goes in. It would have been rubbish. It would have been absolutely dreadful. But you know what? We would have had a Christmas Animorphs book. And that is the Christmassiest Christmas that ever Christmased. So, what else do there's nothing else to really cover. Apart from, you know, it's been a year of AniLysis. And this is AniLysis number 100. It just seems like a pretty crap one. But there it is. I hope you all have a bloody Merry Christmas, honestly. And... yeah, onwards to next year. There's going to be some changes next year, and I'll let you know more when it comes to it. But I've got... My next episode, by the way, is Saturday. It should be up Saturday. And that'll be the last one for the year. But that is another Christmas cocktail. I'm going to make Oncalilium. A cocktail called Oncalilium, which obviously is named after some sort of Andalite herbal medicine. Or organic medicine. I did an analysis on that, by the way. Go search that up. It's like in the 50s or 60s. Oncalilium. It's got the picture with some sort of plant and a blue furred hoof approaching it. But yeah, I'm going to make a cocktail based on it, on Colillium. And that'll be the last episode before Christmas. So I'll do all the big Christmas spiel then, shall I? For now, though, let's just rest easy knowing that Animorphs did, in fact, celebrate Christmas. Just not in a very big and Christmassy way. And it is a shame. But if there are any Christmas fanfictions out there, go check them out, get yourself into spirit. I think there actually is one. And I think I've covered one before. Yeah, go check it. Go search on my channel for Christmas fanfiction. I also did a story myself at one point. And it was quite funny because it was very clearly meant to be a joke. And yet the usual suspects in the Animorphs community took it seriously and said, how dare he write things that are silly like this? And it's like, oh, shut up. Go be merry somewhere. I don't know. Yeah, some people just can't take jokes these days. But yeah, go check out that story. It is deliberately silly. And I think you can tell, obviously some people who have no brain cells to rub together can't tell. But, they probably deliberately don't want to know. Anyway, I'm getting off topic, and this is supposed to be kept Christmassy. So, yeah, go check out those videos, and have yourself a bloody Merry Christmas. I'll see you in a few days, where we'll learn another cocktail recipe. And there'll be some big news in that video as well. So don't just tune in for the cocktail, tune in for my Christmas message. Thank you very much for watching. I shall see you somewhere else in the Animorphs universe. Ta-ra!